In the village of Awuba, there lived a girl named Grace who loved having fun. She went to parties at night, danced with friends, and didn't listen to her old parents. One day she did something very sad. She got a baby removed from her tummy. But God had a special plan. She met a kind man. They got married, and guess what? Watch till the end to see what happened next. Grace was a very beautiful girl. She was 20 years old and lived with her old parents in a big house. Many people in their area knew her because she liked going out every night. Her father was a quiet man with gray hair. Her mother was kind and always prayed for her children. They loved Grace very much, but Grace did not care about advice. Every night she dressed in shiny clothes and left the house with her friends. "Grace, where are you going again?" her mother would ask. "Mama, I am not a child," Grace would reply. One night her parents sat her down in the sitting room. Rain was falling outside. The sound of thunder filled the air. Her father looked at her with sad eyes. "My daughter," he said softly, "the life you are living is dangerous." Her mother held Grace's hand. "Please listen to us. Good friends do not lead people into trouble. Stop following men and staying out late at night." Grace pulled her hand away. "I am a big girl," she said proudly. "I know what I am doing." Her mother almost cried. "Grace, not every smiling face loves you." But Grace stood up and carried her bag. "I want to enjoy my life," she said. Then she walked out of the house. Outside, her friends were already waiting for her in a taxi. "Grace!" one of them shouted happily. "Let's go party!" Grace laughed and entered the car. That night, music filled the club. People danced wildly. Colored lights flashed everywhere. Bottles covered the tables. Grace loved that kind of life. She danced with different men.
Grace,
She
tonight is
laughed
gonna be
loudly and forgot
crazy.
every warning her parents gave her. Days
That's why I
became weeks.
came.
Weeks became months. Her parents kept praying for her, but Grace kept going deeper into her reckless life. One Saturday night, Grace went to a very big party in town. Rich people came there with expensive cars. Music
Only
shook
all
the
the
whole
rich friends
building.
here tonight.
While she was dancing, a handsome young man walked up to her. "Hello," he said with a smile. "My name is Brian." Grace smiled back. "I'm Grace." Brian bought her drinks. They talked and laughed like they had known each other for years. Later that night, Brian said softly, "Let me take you home." Grace followed him without thinking. Instead of taking her home, Brian drove her to his apartment. Grace did not care. That night changed her life forever. A few weeks later, Grace started feeling strange. She woke up one morning and suddenly vomited. Another morning, she felt weak and dizzy. Fear slowly entered her heart. One afternoon, she went quietly to a pharmacy. Her hands shook as she spoke to the woman there. "I need a pregnancy test strip." The woman gave it to her. Grace rushed home and locked herself inside her room. Minutes later, she looked at the result. Positive. Her heart almost stopped. "No, no," she whispered. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She sat on the floor and cried. How did my life become like this? But instead of telling her parents or keeping the baby, Grace made another choice. A dangerous choice. She secretly went to a small clinic and aborted the baby. After everything was over, she walked out like nothing happened. She did not even cry again. Life continued. She returned to clubs, returned to parties, returned to different men. Months later, she became pregnant again. This time, fear covered her heart like darkness. She went to a hospital for another abortion. The doctor looked serious after checking her. "Young lady," he said slowly, "your womb is badly damaged." Grace stared at him. "What do you mean?" The doctor sighed. "If we continue this procedure, your womb may have to be removed." Grace's eyes widened. "Removed?" "Yes," the doctor said sadly. "You may never be able to have children again." Grace became quiet. For a moment she remembered her mother's words, but she quickly pushed the thoughts away. She laughed bitterly. "Who said I even want marriage?" she said. The doctor looked disappointed. "Think carefully before making this choice." But Grace had already made up her mind. "Go ahead," she said coldly. The operation was done. After some days, Grace returned home. Outside, she smiled and acted normal. But deep inside, something had died. A secret followed her everywhere. A painful secret. Years passed. Grace slowly stopped going to clubs every night, but the pain in her heart remained. One bright morning, she walked out of her family compound wearing a simple dress. As she stepped onto the road, a black car stopped beside her. The window rolled down. A handsome young man smiled at her. "Good morning," he said politely. "Good morning," Grace replied. "My name is Daniel." "I'm Grace." Daniel was gentle and respectful. Unlike the men Grace used to know, he spoke kindly. "Can I have your number?" he asked. Grace hesitated for a moment, then smiled softly. "Okay." From that day, they became close friends. Daniel often visited her family house. He respected her parents and treated Grace with care. Grace began to feel peace around him. One evening, Daniel invited her to a beautiful restaurant for dinner. Soft music played in the background. After they finished eating, Daniel suddenly held her hand. "Grace," he said nervously, "I love you." Grace's heart beat fast. "I have never met someone like you. Will you marry me?" Grace froze. The spoon fell from her hand. For a few seconds, she could not speak. Marriage, children, family. The secret she buried years ago suddenly returned like a sharp knife. That night when she got home, she locked herself inside her room and cried deeply. "Oh God," she whispered, "what have I done to myself?" She remembered the babies she aborted. She remembered the doctor's voice. "You may never be able to have children again." Grace cried until morning, but Daniel truly loved her. After some weeks, she accepted his proposal. Their wedding was beautiful. Friends and family danced with joy. Grace smiled outside, but fear still lived inside her heart. She loved Daniel deeply, but she feared the day her secret would destroy everything. 2 years passed after their wedding, still no child. People began asking questions. "When will we hear good news? When will you carry your baby?" Every question pierced Grace's heart like a needle. Daniel noticed her sadness. One evening, he sat beside her. "My love," he said gently, "I think we should go to the hospital for a checkup." Grace quickly stood up. "No!" Daniel looked surprised. "Why?" Grace forced a smile. "We should trust God. Maybe it's not yet time." Daniel nodded slowly. "Okay, I understand." But Grace knew the truth. She was afraid. Afraid the doctors would reveal everything. Afraid Daniel would hate her. At night, she often cried silently while Daniel slept.
Subscribe for the next part, like and drop an amazing comments what you want to see in the next part. Bye!